Hi friends, it's Monday and I'm Mickey. And today is part 8, the final part in my what was supposed to be a 7-part series on how to cover a song. I split one into 2 pieces. And today we're going to be tackling the final topic, which is how to perfect your performance. This is just going to be a talking video, which I realize can sometimes be boring, so I apologize in advance for my lackluster personality and inability to speak in complete coherent sentences. Also, my hair looks really crazy right now, so, just pretend that I have one of those puppy Snapchat filters on my face. So, why am I qualified to speak on this topic? I have been performing my own music since I was 13 and I'm 38 now. So I'll let you do the math. It's been quite a few years, and even before that time I was performing as a classical pianist. So I've played many thousands of shows, I've gone around the world performing, I've played on some really amazing famous stages, including Alice Tilly Hall and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've gotten to play with some of my heroes, including Billy Joel and Roseanne Cash and Lisa Loeb and Soul Asylum. I don't love name dropping, but you can read more in my bio. But that's just to say that I've performed a lot. Does that make me an expert? I don't know. I mean, I'm continually learning, and I think it's a lifelong journey, and I'm a student of life. So I'm always trying to improve my performances. Just by virtue of having put in the more than 10,000 hours, I have learned a few things. So that's what this video is going to be about today. Just me dropping some bombs of knowledge on you about how to be a great performer. So my number one rule on how to become a better performer is, as Colin Kaepernick says, just do it. Oh boy, I think I just lost half of my audience of 9 people. But in all seriousness, that really is the best way to become a better performer, is just to put in the reps, put in the hours. And I know for a lot of people, this is a very high bar of entry. Starting to perform as a young kid, as an adult, whatever age you are, if it's the first time you're doing it, can be very frightening. You have to get over the fear of failing. And I know this is easier said than done, but as human beings, we learn the most when we bomb. It's just a fact of life, and nobody is a great performer the first time that they do it. If they tell you that they are on some behind the music show, they're a BS artist. Everybody sucks in the beginning, and it's just a matter of doing it and doing it and doing it until you do it well. Yes, that was a reference to doing it and doing it and doing it well. I'm really on fire today. Jeez, it's hot in here. If you are afraid of performing, the best way to do it is to treat it like any other fear. And let's say that you had agoraphobia and you were afraid of going outside. The cognitive behavioral therapy proven scientific approach for how to get over that fear is to expose yourself in small doses. So on day 1, they would have you open the door and just stand in front of the open door for 10 minutes. On day 2, you open the door and you go to the threshold. You don't even go outside yet. Little tiny baby steps. Day 3, you open the door and you walk out onto the welcome mat for 10 minutes. And you just keep doing it until you're able to go to the corner store and come back and not have a massive panic attack. So you have to treat performing the same way. You might start by performing in your living room to a trusted confidant. Play to your mom. Or if your mom is crazy judgmental, you can play to your best friend or your boyfriend, your sister, your husband, whoever is a trusted person that's going to give you honest feedback and not be mean about it. You play to them. The next day you play to 2 people. The next day you play to 5 people, and you're still in your house. The following week you go to an open mic. And open mics are amazing places to perform, because you're going to see a lot of other performers, so you're going to learn from example, and you're expected to be doing material that is new and workshopping it, and people expect you to potentially make mistakes, and that's okay. When I was 13, I went to Hunter High School, and I had the wonderful opportunity to get credit for a course by having a life experience. So I was a sound person at Sidewalk Cafe on Avenue A and 6th Street, and my wonderful mentor Latch allowed me to set up for the open mic. I would come at 7 p.m. I would set up the microphones and make sure that everything was set up correctly, and then I would stay there for the rest of the night, and I would watch all of the performers, and I would run the soundboard under Latch's supervision, of course, and I would try out my own material, and I would do that every single week. Every Monday night, I was there all night, getting this experience, getting this exposure. So I really, really encourage that. That's the way that I cut my teeth as a performer, and it taught me so much. My second tip is to own your anxiety. It is completely normal to feel nervous when you perform. It is the rare case that there are people that don't feel any nerves when they get up in front of an audience. Most people have some amount of trepidation. And when you really care about something and you're very passionate, your level of anxiety is going to be proportional to your passion, because you want to do a good job and you want so much not to fail at this thing that you care so much about. I can tell you personally, when I used to play classical piano, I would get extremely nervous, and it had physical manifestations for me. My hands would shake, my legs would shake so badly that I actually couldn't wear heels because my feet would slide off the pedals on the piano. And to this day, even though I don't get that kind of nervousness anymore, I don't wear shoes when I perform. I play barefoot because I remember that feeling of nervousness and I just don't like it. Of course, with just doing it, you will get better and that nervousness will start to go away. And that's just an acclimation thing. But still, to this day, if I haven't played out in a while, if I take a big break and then I play a show, I still get a little bit of nervousness before I go on. And then when I get out there and I say, oh, I've done this so many times before, I know what this feels like, that nervousness goes away. But just know that everybody has that. I want to caution you not to try to artificially numb that feeling with alcohol or drugs, because there are so many performers, as you've probably seen on these behind the music shows, that become dependent on having a drink or having 5 drinks or having Xanax or beta blockers or whatever it is to take away that nervousness. But then you become dependent on that and you have to do it every single time, and you become habituated and you need to take more and more, and you're not really present in the moment because you're somewhere else and your mind is numb. You really want to be able to connect with an audience and be present in the moment and enjoy your performance. When you first start performing, it's okay to tell the audience, you know, this is my first performance, I'm really nervous, so please be kind. And 99.9% of people are going to be really encouraging and really connect to that feeling because it's a universal human experience. So you might have 0.01% of people that are going to be jerks about it, but I would be very, very surprised if you encounter heckling or anything like that. I remember at the Anti-Hootenanny, the open mic that Latch would run, whenever somebody would make a mistake, he would say, "Mistake applause," and then the entire crowd would start clapping and be really supportive, because people want people to succeed. They want you to be happy. They want to see you do well. For the most part, people are not looking for people to fall on their face and fail and create this negative kind of drama, unless it's like on a reality TV show. And I can tell you that when I go to see a performance, I would so much rather see an authentic performer in an intimate venue who makes a mistake and acknowledges it than somebody who's playing in an arena rock show to thousands of people and you can't really make eye contact with them and they can't see the audience because there's so many lights and everything is slick and perfect. That doesn't interest me. I'm more interested in the genuine human experience. And you as a performer being nervous is part of that honest human experience. There's also the philosophy of faking it until you make it. And of course, if you make a mistake and you can keep going and smile through it, most people in the audience are not going to be musicians and they may not even know that you made a mistake. But if you make a huge mistake and you can't go on, just acknowledge it and be like, oh my God, guys, I made a mistake. I'd really like to start this song over again. I'm really sorry about that. And I guarantee you it's not going to be a big deal. People will get over it and they'll continue to enjoy your performance. My next tip is to simulate performance conditions as you're practicing. So practicing obviously is paramount in giving a good performance. I, every single night for hours, play over FaceTime with my creative partner, and that's just so that we keep everything in rotation and we have our repertoire ready to go at any given moment. And as you're practicing, I really encourage you to practice in a way that simulates the conditions that you will be exposed to when you're performing. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to be using a microphone, which you probably will, you want to know how to use that microphone. That's a piece of equipment and you're not going to be able to just pick it up and know the technique of using that. So you don't want to practice without a microphone and then go to a place and have to figure out on the fly how to use this new piece of equipment. You don't want to be worrying about anything extraneous other than giving your best performance. By the same token, if you're playing the piano, you don't want to practice for 100 hours on a grand piano and then get to the venue and realize that you're going to be playing on a $20 Casio keyboard, because that's going to be a completely different experience. So call the place, find out what the back line is, what kind of equipment is available. Make sure that you get there on time to set up. If you have to bring your own equipment with you or rent something so that you have the same conditions as what you've practiced on, do that. Make sure you have water when you play. Make sure that you're wearing something comfortable that represents your personality when you perform. All these things seem obvious, but when you're first starting out with performance, you might not think about these things. Of course, you want to dress up and you don't want to look like a schlub. You want to look your best when you're playing, but you don't want to wear a ball gown and 6-inch high heels and realize that you can't move comfortably and you're going to fall over when you start singing. If you're going to be standing, practice standing up. Don't practice sitting in a chair. All of these things are, unfortunately, things that you have to be thinking about and not just your vocal performance or your musical performance. And have fun with it. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. All of these things can be really, really fun and really enhance your performance as well. My next tip is to get accurate self-assessment of what you look and sound like. And there's a couple different ways to do this. You can practice in front of a mirror, which is something that I really like to do because you get in real time feedback on what you look and sound like, or at least what you look like. And you can look yourself in the eyes, which is really good practice for making eye contact with the audience. You can see how your body's moving, and if you look like a total dork, which I often do, and you can make little adjustments. Some people don't like using a mirror because then it becomes something of a crutch, and when you're performing, it's not going to be there. So you might suddenly realize that you don't know what you look like and freak out. So if that's the case for you, don't use a mirror. Another thing that you can do is to just set up your phone and film yourself and put it somewhere where you're not going to be looking at the camera and constantly reminded that you're being filmed, because that can make you self-conscious, obviously. And just forget about it and film yourself while you're rehearsing. And then later you can go back and watch the footage and hear what you sound like. My caution with this is to be kind to yourself. We've all had that experience of hearing our voice for the first time on a voicemail and being like, oh my God, I sound like that? So in the beginning, you're probably not going to look and sound like the fantasy that you have in your mind. But remember, everybody starts somewhere and you're just trying to be better than you were the time before. Another way to do it is to ask trusted confidants to listen to you perform and then give you honest feedback. Be careful about who you choose, especially in the beginning. You don't want to choose somebody that's just going to be mean or brutally honest for the sake of tearing you down. People can be jealous, people can have weird motivations, they can think they're helping you when they're not. And you don't want that kind of negativity in your life. But you also don't want to pick somebody that's just going to be some like sycophant and be like, oh my God, you're so amazing. Oh my God, you're like Mariah Carey. And then you go to perform and you're not. So You want to pick somebody that's going to be honest with you and give you constructive feedback. So those are 3 ways to get an accurate assessment and then to be able to watch that footage, listen to that footage, and make little corrections as you go along. Another thing that I like to do to have my best performance is to create a kind of pre-show ritual. And that can include such things as getting enough sleep in the days leading up to a performance, drinking enough water, also obviously warming up before a performance. And there's a balance between doing too little and too much. So when I have a show, I will do a full 20 to 30 minute warm up, but then I won't run through the whole set the day of, because I know I don't want to overwork my voice and lose my voice right before a show. So you want to do a good warm up, but then rest your voice and not run things out of nervousness. You want to have done all of that preparation in the weeks leading up to the performance, so you don't have to do it the day of. I also have a fun little ritual that I do with myself that I started when I was a teenager, which is right before I go on, I'll go to a mirror and I'll look myself in the eyes and I'll give myself a little pep talk.
Tell me I'm beautiful. Say it. Say you love me.
This is just something that's fun for me. You can create your own rituals. But what I do is I give myself a little goal for the show. And so for me, usually it's something like, I want to have a few transcendent moments where I really feel like I'm experiencing flow or I'm connecting with 1 or 2 members of the audience. And I try to keep those expectations low. So it's not like, I want to sell a song to, a movie producer for $1 million. I want to make a really important business contact or whatever, because if you set those kinds of expectations, then you can be disappointed. But you want to set something realistic that's going to make you really appreciate the experience of performing and be positive, something that's achievable. The other thing that I will say is you want to authentically be yourself when you perform. And I've said this before in my videos, I really think that it's important, especially when you're singing other people's songs. Of course, you want to watch other performers and learn what you can from them, and to have people that you idolize and get what you can from watching their performances. But at the end of the day, you have to synthesize all of that and then put it through the filter of yourself. And you want to be the best version of you that you can be. You don't want to be imitating somebody and imitating their body movements and their stage presence and their stage banter and everything to a T, because you're never going to be a better version of that person than they are. You want to be the best version of you because you have the best chance of being the best you. Nobody else is going to be a better you. So that sounds a little bit hokey, but it's really, really true. Obviously, I could go on. This is a huge topic. There are so many things that can be said about performing, but I'm going to cut it here for now. But I do want to continue the conversation with you guys, so I would really appreciate it if you would let me know some of your performance stories, the good ones and the bad ones, and I will share an epic fail of mine that I had with you now. The first time that I ever played at the Anti-Hoot when I was 13, I remember my guitar was out of tune and I played and I sounded horrible and I cried. And it was traumatizing, and that could have been it. I could have left and never played again, and said this was such a bad experience, I don't even want to think about it, I never want to play again. But I didn't do that. I came back and I kept playing every week and I got better. And I think the lesson that I took away from that is just that if you fail, you need to get back on the horse, even if the horse is dead. So please let me know about your horror stories in the comments below. And obviously, if you have any questions for me, you can put them below as well, and I will get to them. If you liked this video, please punch the thumbs up button, and of course, hit subscribe to get a notification when I post a new video. And please tune in next week for my next video, which is going to be on something. I don't know yet. So if you have suggestions or ideas, you can leave them in the comments too. Thank you so much. I will see you then. Happy singing.